7 signs you're secretly getting rich even if you don't feel it. Real wealth whispers while fake wealth screams. And here's what's crazy. You might already be getting rich without even knowing it. Most Americans are waiting for some dramatic "I made it" moment, with confetti falling from the ceiling, champagne popping, and a sudden feeling of being wealthy. But here's the uncomfortable truth. That moment never comes. Wealth doesn't announce itself with a new Lamborghini or flash with Rolex diamonds. It builds so quietly that even the person building it doesn't realize what's happening. Warren Buffett, worth over $100 billion, still counts coins at McDonald's and buys breakfast based on how the stock market is doing that day. He looks completely ordinary, acts completely normal, but he's one of the richest people alive. The signs you're building real wealth feel boring, unremarkable, almost disappointing. But these 7 invisible signs prove you're further along than you think. If you're ready to discover why you don't feel rich, but actually might be, comment "Wealth Whispers" below, and let's uncover the truth about your financial progress. Sign 1. Feel calm when your paycheck hits. Remember when payday used to feel like oxygen? Like you could finally breathe again after holding your breath for 2 weeks? You'd check your bank account the second that direct deposit hit, calculating frantically whether you could cover rent, utilities, groceries, and maybe have enough left for gas. That desperate relief when the money arrived was pure survival mode. Your nervous system finally relaxing because you could make it through another month. But something's changed, hasn't it? Now, when your paycheck arrives, you don't feel that same urgent desperation. The money comes in, and instead of racing to cover every financial hole, you breathe steady. You might even forget to check your account for a few hours because it doesn't feel as life or death urgent anymore. Let me tell you about 2 ship captains caught in the same violent storm. The first captain panics the moment the waves start hitting. He's scrambling across the deck, shouting orders, desperately trying to plug leaks and secure loose cargo because his ship wasn't properly prepared. Every wave feels like it might sink him because he has no margin for error, no backup systems, no reserves. The second captain faces the exact same storm, but he remains calm at the helm. His crew looks to him with confidence because they know this ship was built for storms. He had reinforced the hull, secured the cargo properly, and maintained emergency supplies. When the waves hit, he adjusts course smoothly because he planned for this moment long before the storm arrived. But that's just the obvious part. What I'm about to say is what makes the difference between financial anxiety and financial peace. That calm you feel on payday isn't boring or unremarkable. It's a sign that money has shifted from survival to strategy in your life. You've built enough margin to stop living paycheck to paycheck, even if you don't realize it yet. The solution is recognizing that this emotional shift proves you've created financial breathing room. You're no longer drowning in a sea of bills and obligations. You've built a buffer, even if it's small, that gives you options instead of desperation. Here's your reality check. Build 1 month of basic expenses as a test. If you can cover rent, utilities, and groceries for 30 days without your next paycheck, you've officially graduated from survival mode to wealth building mode. And what I'm about to say is what makes the difference between those who stay stuck and those who recognize progress. Money has shifted from survival to strategy, and that calm feeling is your proof that you're secretly building wealth. Sign 2. Save before you spend. Most people have this completely backwards, and it's silently destroying their financial future without them even realizing it. They get paid, immediately start paying bills, buy groceries, grab dinner out, pick up some new clothes, maybe treat themselves to something nice, and then at the end of the month, they look around hoping there might be a few dollars left to save. But here's what's devastating. There are never any leftovers. There's always one more expense, one more need, one more reason why this month just isn't good for saving. You've flipped the script, haven't you? Even if it's just 10%, 5%, or literally a handful of coins in a jar, you pay yourself first. The moment money hits your account, before rent, before groceries, before anything else, a portion disappears into savings or investments. It might feel like a small, insignificant habit, but you're doing something that most people never figure out in their entire lives. Let me tell you the parable of two farmers who worked identical plots of land and harvested the same amount of grain each season. The first farmer would immediately consume his entire harvest, reasoning that he deserved to enjoy the fruits of his hard labor. He'd eat the best grain, trade some for luxuries, and use whatever remained for daily meals. When winter came, he was always scrambling, hoping to find work or borrow grain from neighbors, just to survive until the next growing season. The second farmer understood something profound about wealth building. Before he touched a single grain for his own consumption, he would carefully set aside the best seeds for next season's planting. Only after securing his future harvest would he use the remaining grain for food, trade, and enjoyment. This farmer always had enough seed to plant a full crop, and over the years his harvests grew larger because he never compromised his planting capacity for immediate gratification. But that's just the surface. What's behind it is what will startle people who think saving small amounts doesn't matter. It's not about the size of the amount you save, it's about the sequence. You're training your brain to prioritize future you over present impulse, and that's a turning point most people never reach. The solution is recognizing that you've already mastered the most important wealth-building habit that exists. You understand that the future you is your most important customer, and you're paying that customer first. Here's your validation. Automate that savings transfer to happen on payday before you even see the money. You've already proven you can live without it. Now make it impossible to spend accidentally. Sign 3. Track what others ignore. This is where it gets subtle, and most people completely miss this wealth-building superpower. You notice the $10 subscriptions, the interest rates buried in fine print, the fees tucked away in monthly statements. While most people shrug off these small amounts, it's just $10, you don't. You know that money leaks are like termites. Tiny, invisible, and absolutely devastating over time if left unchecked. Most Americans are bleeding money through 1,000 tiny cuts and don't even realize it's happening. They've got Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Spotify, Amazon Prime, gym memberships they never use, magazine subscriptions they forgot about, and insurance policies they never review. Each one seems insignificant alone, but together they're draining hundreds of dollars monthly from their wealth-building potential. Let me tell you about the vigilant lighthouse keeper who saved an entire coastal town. Every day, this keeper would inspect his lighthouse from top to bottom, looking for problems others couldn't see. While visitors admired the bright beacon and sturdy tower, he was examining the foundation for hairline cracks, checking the lens for tiny scratches, and monitoring the mechanisms for the slightest irregularities. One day, he discovered a small crack in the foundation that everyone else had walked past for months. "It's just a tiny crack," said the town officials. "The lighthouse still works fine." But the keeper knew better. He insisted on immediate repairs, even though it seemed like overkill. 3 months later, a massive storm hit the coast. Every other structure suffered damage, but his lighthouse stood firm, because he had caught and fixed the small problem before it became a catastrophe. But that's just the obvious part. What I'm about to say is what makes the difference between those who build wealth and those who wonder where their money went. Wealth isn't just about earning more money, it's about protecting what you already have. If you're paying attention to the small financial leaks, you're already wealthier than someone making twice your income, but ignoring their money drains. The solution is conducting monthly financial inspections like that of a lighthouse keeper. You patch the leaks, cancel unused subscriptions, negotiate better rates, and watch your money flow with the same vigilance he watched his lighthouse. Here's your immediate action step. Audit all your recurring charges this weekend. cancel anything you haven't used in the past 60 days. Those small savings will compound into serious wealth over time. And what I'm about to say is what makes the difference between wealth builders and wealth bleeders. Attention to financial details isn't being cheap. It's being strategic about where your money goes and ensuring it serves your goals instead of someone else's profit margins. Sign 4. Choosing value over image. It happens quietly, almost without you noticing. One day, you stop caring about logos. The thrill of flexing fades completely. You don't buy shoes because they're trending. You buy them because they'll last. You look at your car that still runs perfectly and think, why replace it just because someone else upgraded? That shift from chasing image to choosing value isn't boring or cheap. It's clarity, and it's one of the most powerful signs that you're building real wealth. Most people are trapped in an endless cycle of trading dollars for image. They buy the designer handbag to impress people at work, lease the luxury car to look successful at the grocery store, and upgrade their phone every year because having last year's model feels embarrassing. They're literally paying premium prices to rent other people's approval, and it's keeping them broke forever. Let me tell you about a master craftsman who built the most beautiful furniture in his village. Wealthy merchants would travel for days just to commission his work, paying fortunes for pieces that would last generations. When visitors came to his workshop, they expected to find expensive, elaborate tools that matched the quality of his creations. Instead, they found simple hand tools, some decades old, worn smooth from years of use, but perfectly maintained and incredibly sharp. Meanwhile, across town, an apprentice had spent his entire savings on the most expensive, beautiful tool collection anyone had ever seen. Golden handles, intricate engravings, and tools that looked like works of art themselves. Visitors would gasp at his impressive workshop setup. But here's the twist. After years of owning these magnificent tools, the apprentice had never created anything of lasting value. His tools were for show, not for building. But that's just the surface. What's behind it is what will startle people who think expensive equals better. The master craftsman understood that tools don't control you, you control them. His simple tools were extensions of his skill, chosen for function over form, maintained for performance over appearance. The solution is asking different questions before every purchase. Instead of, will this make me look successful? Ask, will this serve my actual needs? Instead of what will people think? Ask, will I still value this in 5 years? You've started making these mental shifts without even realizing their significance. Here's your validation test. Look at your most recent purchases. Are they chosen for substance or appearance? If you're consistently picking quality over flash, utility over status, you're already thinking like wealthy people think. And what I'm about to say is what makes the difference between those who look rich and those who become rich. True wealth is invisible to others, but obvious to you. It shows up in what you don't buy, not what you do. Sign 5. Resist lifestyle creep. This is the silent killer of wealth, and most Americans never see it coming. Every time their income rises, their spending rises right along with it. They get a raise and immediately start thinking about a bigger apartment, a nicer car, fancier restaurants, and more expensive clothes. The lifestyle inflation happens so gradually, so naturally, that it feels justified. I'm making more money now, so I deserve better things. But here's what's devastating. They never actually get ahead because their expenses expand faster than their income. You didn't play that game, did you? Maybe you kept your old apartment for another year even after your salary increased. Maybe you didn't rush to trade in your reliable car the moment your paycheck grew. While everyone else around you inflated their expenses, you quietly widened the gap between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is wealth's engine, and most people never create it because they can't resist the upgrade trap. Let me tell you about a king who possessed a magical palace that would automatically expand whenever his wealth increased. Every time his treasury grew, new rooms would appear. filled with more luxurious furniture, fancier decorations, and expensive amenities he never knew he needed. The palace was always perfectly sized to consume exactly what he could afford, leaving him feeling neither rich nor poor, just perpetually stretched to his financial limits. One day, the king met a wise merchant who lived in a modest home despite owning vast wealth. "Why don't you upgrade your house?" asked the confused king. The merchant smiled and explained, "Every coin my expanding house doesn't consume becomes a seed that grows into more wealth. Your palace may be magnificent, but my simple home has made me truly rich because it never grows hungrier than my ability to feed it." But that's just the obvious part. What I'm about to say is what makes the difference between those who accumulate wealth and those who just accumulate nicer stuff. It's not glamorous to resist lifestyle creep. It feels like standing still while everyone else is upgrading. You watch friends move to expensive neighborhoods while you stay put. You drive your reliable car while they lease luxury vehicles. But give it 5 years and you'll be miles ahead financially while they're drowning in debt. The solution is recognizing that this restraint isn't deprivation. It's strategic wealth building. Every dollar you don't spend on lifestyle inflation is a dollar that can compound and work for your future freedom. Here's your actionable step. Live on last year's income and invest every raise you receive this year. This simple rule prevents lifestyle creep automatically. Sign 6. See money as a tool, not a trophy. This is a mindset shift most people never reach, and it's the difference between those who accumulate wealth and those who just accumulate expensive things. Money stops being about showing off to your neighbors, proving something to your family, or impressing strangers at the coffee shop. It becomes pure utility, a hammer, a key, a lever that you use to build the life you actually want. When you reach this point, you're not just saving cash, you're buying independence. Most Americans are trapped in trophy thinking without even realizing it. They use money as a way to broadcast their success, validate their worth, or compete with people they don't even like. The luxury car looks successful in the company parking lot. Designer clothes make you feel important at social events. The expensive restaurant dinners to post on social media. They're literally paying premium prices to rent other people's approval, and it's destroying their ability to build real wealth. Let me tell you about 2 builders who started construction companies in the same town. The first builder was obsessed with image. He bought the most expensive tools money could buy, not because they worked better, but because they looked impressive. Golden hammers, custom engraved levels, trucks wrapped in flashy graphics. When clients visited his shop, they were amazed by the beautiful equipment. He spent hours polishing his tools, organizing them for maximum visual impact, and making sure everything looked perfect for social media photos. The second builder took a completely different approach. He bought simple, reliable tools chosen purely for function. His hammers were scratched and worn from years of use. His truck was older but perfectly maintained. His tools weren't pretty, but they built magnificent homes, skyscrapers, and bridges that stood for generations. While the first builder was decorating his workshop, the second was building an empire. But that's just the surface. What's behind it is what will startle people who think expensive tools guarantee better results. Tools don't control you, you control them. The master builder understood that money is the same way. It's not meant to be displayed. It's meant to be deployed strategically to create the freedom and security you actually want. The solution is asking the right question before every significant purchase. Will this make me money? Or will this just make me look good? If it's just for appearance, walk away. If it serves a real purpose in building your wealth or improving your life, then it's worth considering. Here's your reality check. Look at your recent spending decisions. Are you buying tools that build your future, or trophies that impress others? Sign 7. You're patient. This might be the biggest sign of all, because patience with money is the ultimate superpower that separates those who build lasting wealth from those who stay broke forever. Most people want their investments to double next month, their side hustle to explode overnight, and their bank account to magically transform into millionaire status by next year. But you understand something profound that most Americans never learn. Compounding isn't instant. It's invisible at first, and the magic happens when nobody's watching. You keep watering your financial seeds even when nothing seems to be growing. You keep investing even when your account balance looks disappointingly small. You understand that wealth building feels like nothing's happening for the longest time, and that's exactly when most people quit. But you don't quit because you've grasped the secret that time is your most valuable ally in building wealth. Let me tell you about two neighboring farmers who both wanted beautiful, abundant land. The first farmer was impatient and wanted immediate results. Every spring he would plant flowers, bright, colorful annuals that would bloom quickly and create an impressive display within weeks. Visitors would admire his land all summer long, praising his beautiful garden. But every winter, the flowers would die, and he'd have to start completely over the next year. After decades of this cycle, he had nothing but pretty memories and empty soil. The second farmer took a completely different approach. He planted fruit trees, knowing they wouldn't produce anything for the first 5 years. While his neighbor's land burst with color, his looked bare and unremarkable. People questioned his strategy. Why not plant something that gives you immediate satisfaction? They asked. But he kept watering his saplings, protecting them through harsh winters, and patiently waiting for what he knew was coming. But that's just the obvious part. What I'm about to say is what makes the difference between those who build generational wealth and those who chase quick wins. After 15 years, the patient farmer was harvesting baskets of fruit every season. His trees continued producing for decades, requiring minimal work while generating abundant returns. The impatient farmer was still replanting flowers every year, never building anything that lasted. The solution is shifting your timeline from months to decades. Set financial goals that span 10 to 20 years instead of hoping for miracles next quarter. Here's your mindset shift. Stop checking your investment accounts daily. Wealth building is like watching grass grow. The magic happens when you're not looking. And what I'm about to say is what makes the difference between wealth builders and wealth chasers. Patience doesn't feel like wealth building, but it's the foundation that makes everything else possible. Now you understand why wealth doesn't feel like wealth when it's actually happening. Feeling calm on payday instead of desperate. Saving before spending instead of hoping for leftovers. Tracking the small money leaks that others ignore. Choosing value over image in every purchase decision. Resisting lifestyle creep when your income grows. Seeing money as a tool for building freedom instead of a trophy for impressing others. And having the patience to let compound growth work its magic over decades. But here's the reality check that might disappoint you. None of these signs come with fireworks or confetti. They're almost boring in how ordinary they feel. You won't wake up one morning feeling dramatically different or suddenly wealthy. Getting rich rarely feels like getting rich. It feels unremarkable, like nothing special is happening, which is exactly why most people miss it entirely. These 7 signs prove you're further along than you think, even if your bank account doesn't scream millionaire yet. If you spotted even 3 or 4 of these behaviors in your own life, you're on the quiet path where real wealth grows. Which of these 7 signs hit you the hardest? Comment the number of signs you recognized in yourself. I want to see how many people are secretly building wealth without realizing it. And if this opened your eyes to progress you didn't know you were making, share it with someone who needs this reminder that wealth whispers while poverty shouts. Remember this: freedom doesn't announce itself with a parade. It arrives quietly, like an old friend, built through countless boring decisions that nobody applauds but compound into everything.